Hello, English 2 students, and welcome to Act 3, Day 1 of reading Act 3 of The Crucible by Arthur Miller. So let's jump right into it and talk about what we discussed in the face-to-face class today. All right, so one of the things we do, we start off, and it's about another week later, so we move another week forward since Act 2, and we are outside the courtroom. We're inside the courthouse. We're inside the makeshift building that's the courthouse, because back then they didn't have an official courthouse. So it's their common building that they're using, and they're outside the courthouse. So there is the main courthouse, like kind of think of it like the community center a little bit. How you have like the main area in the community center, and then like a 4A. We're in the 4A, but we can hear what's going on in the courtroom, which would be in the community center. A better example would be like here in the high school. Whenever you walk through the front of the high school, you have the lobby area where the concession stand is at. That's where this is going to be taking place. The court would be like in the gym. All right, so we're out in front of the courtroom, and we can hear inside of the courtroom. That's why we keep on hearing all these different people's voices. We hear the judge voice, Judge Hawthorne, and we hear Martha Corey, who is Guile Corey's wife's voice. And then Guile gets very angry, gets kicked out of the court, and that's how we end up outside of the court. So we're now onto the second page, and the main thing to look at is here at the bottom of the second page. We begin to see like Guile show some emotion here, and it even talks about how he begins to weep. He through helpless sobs, he is openly weeping. Giles Corey is really hurt. The question I have for you is, why is he hurt? Why is he feeling these emotions that he is feeling? What is going on with Giles? Why is he crying? That is the question that I want y'all to answer. You can figure out through what they're saying. Through what Giles is saying, you can kind of figure out why he was crying. All right, then we move on to the next page, and we meet both of the judges. One is Judge Hawthorne, and the other one is Judge Danforth. Judge Danforth has the more authority. He is the deputy governor. Basically, he is the leader of this colony. And so he comes out and he starts talking and whatnot, and he points out some very important information that we need to keep in mind. Do you know? Yeah, it's still this one. Yeah. Do you know that? Come on. There we go. Do you know that near 400 are in the jails from Marblehead to Lynn upon my signature, I, and 72 condemned to hang by that signature. Excellency, I never thought to say it to such a weighty judge, but you are deceived. So basically, he's pointing out there are 400 people in jail. There are 72 who are condemned to be hanged, killed upon my signature. So I have sentenced 400 people to jail and another 72 to die. Do you really think that you better have good evidence that points that this is not what's going on? These are weighty matters at hand. So we can continue on to the next page, on page 4. And that's whenever we have this right here with a little bit further down here with Danforth. I pray you, Paris, do you know, Mr. Proctor, that the entire contention of the state in these trials is that the voice of heaven is speaking through these children. That was that was a place that I had underlined, was that line right there. Basically, kind of what he's saying is that the voice of heaven is speaking through these children. That not only these students, the entire case, all 400 of these people in jail, all 72 of these people condemned to be hung, hinges on these girls telling the truth. Not just that these girls are telling the truth, that God is making these girls tell the truth. That's what the entire case is based around, is that religious authority that God is making these girls, is speaking through these girls. And basically kind of once again establishing like the power that these 3 men are going against to try to save their wives. And then Danforth, they bring Mary Warren in front of Danforth, and Danforth starts to kind of make Mary Warren feel bad for lying right here. And basically, how dare you consider that? Instead of trying to get down to the truth of it, he's trying to kind of shame Mary Warren. Move on to 1295. And on 1295, we begin to see the blame start to shift a little bit. We go from, pay close attention to how Danforth is questioning Proctor, and look at the combinations of questions we have here. Now, sir, what is your purpose in doing so? And There lurks nowhere in your heart, nor hidden in your spirit, any desire to undermine the court. And we go all the way down to here. Have you ever seen the devil? So basically, he's like, is there an alternative motive for you to be doing this? Who else would want to see this court fail? Maybe someone who's a witch. And that's kind of what he's going with. He's thinking that he is a instrument of the devil. So he's trying to shift it away from are the girls lying or not to are you a witch or not, John Proctor. And Proctor doesn't really have a lot of good evidence in his defense because like he doesn't go to church and whatnot, and that really hurts his case. Then we go on to 1296 or page 6 of the PDF here. And we find out some alarming information. Of course, Elizabeth Proctor was taken in, and now she has been discovered to be pregnant. Now, I don't know about y'all, but based on my interaction with the Proctors in Act 2, it didn't seem like they were in a state in their relationship to where they could possibly procreate. So it's a little surprising that Elizabeth Proctor is pregnant. It's not the most surprising. It's not Goody Good, who is over 60 and not married, but, based on kind of how the Proctors are going, I don't think so. But the wider public doesn't know the problems that the Proctors are having, which just leads us to why is Elizabeth Proctor, quote unquote, pregnant? I wouldn't surprise me if it's the same reason why Goody Good is, quote unquote, pregnant. Let us continue. We have Marshall Herrick vouching for Proctor right here. And then what does Paris mean by this? These people should be summoned. Danforth looks at him questioningly for questioning. Basically, Proctor saying all these people that are put in a good word for Rebecca, Elizabeth, and Martha, they should be brought in for questioning. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but all I can tell you is you want to read on page 1297 the penultimate thing that Danforth says right here. I'll go ahead and read it. Then I am sure they have nothing to fear. He hands Cheever the paper. Mr. Cheever, have warrants drawn for all these arrest for examination. Now, mister, what other information do you have for us? Francis is still horrified. So these people who are trying to help out his wife and his friends' wives end up getting arrested because they were trying to lend a helping hand. And Danforth says this, and it's pretty clear to why he's what this court is. But you must understand, sir, that a person is either with this court or he must be counted against it. Be there no road in between. We kind of ended near the bottom here. This is the last page we got to. We got to the very top right here. And there's a couple of things. So first off, Giles right here saying this. Very pleased. I have the best, sir. I am 33 times in court in my life and always the plaintiff too. Kind of indicating that's kind of an ironic thing that he's doing here. Then down here we have, if you remember right, the rhetorical appeals of ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is appeal to credibility. Logos is appeal to logic. Pathos is appeal to emotion. Giles makes this claim. He were a fair judge, your father, you see. What appeal is he trying to appeal to? Is he appealing to logic? Is he appealing to emotion? Or is he appealing to credibility when he says that? And we stop right there after he sees Putman. Giles goes and he is a hard eye. There he is. That's what we stopped. That's how far we read. That's what we read in day 1 of Act 3 of the Crucible. All right, I'll be back tomorrow for Act 3, day 2. And if you have any questions, make sure you email me, pdavidson@portagel.ko12.mo.us. Until next time, I'll see y'all later. Later.